For this lesson, I've selected black pastel paper to bring out the contrasting colors of the pomegranates. Transfer the template using white dress designer's transfer paper. Strengthen the outlines of the leaves with a yellow ochre pencil and then start coloring them in. Then with a much lighter yellow, paint in the sunshine parts. With a very soft eraser or putty rubber, clean up any dust marks. Now we can add some darker green for the shadow areas. We are going to brighten up that dried up light colored pomegranate, starting with some yellow for the highlight area. Begin shading in with bright red and then the sides with yellow ochre. Continue shading the pomegranate, and then with a light yellow pencil, draw in the highlights of the top portion. Finish lightening up the sides. Use a very dark red and brown for the darker tonal ranges. Don't do any blending. The second pomegranate is a much darker red than the previous one. We don't want them all looking exactly the same. Add the highlight area first so as to keep it clean. For the shadow area, use a dark purple pencil. And with a light yellow pencil, lighten up the top left. Add the dark for the cracks in the skin and lighten the edges with yellow. Rough in the top part of the pomegranate and then add the top end details with a very light yellow pencil. Paint the leaves in the bowl and start building up the adjacent pomegranate, taking careful note of the shading and the highlight areas. These are needed to indicate the roundness of the pomegranates. Notice that I also use the white pencil to help in the highlight areas, and the black pencil lightly in the darker parts of the shadows. Because I'm right-handed, I'm working from left to the right. To avoid any smudging, use a sheet of paper under your hand. Black paper shows up any careless work. Finish what is behind the leaves before completing the leaves. And these leaves are painted similar to those done in the beginning. The shadows here are just a bit darker as they are away from the main light source. These nearest leaves are painted the same as the others. And we can also add some darker shadows as they are in the bright light. As we progress, small touch-ups will happen as we compare the one against the other. And you see the working pattern. First outline the leaves, then paint the pomegranate. Finish the leaves and then on to the next section. Notice that the fruit gets darker as we progress towards the right side, and this is because the main light source is on the left. For the leaves on the right, it is best to first paint all the lighter areas before adding the darker shadows. It is easier to make them sparkle this way. Only the tips of these leaves are catching the light, and when painting them, carefully compare against the reference photograph, and then add the parts in the shaded area. Finish the small fruit, and I've made it darker so as not to compete with the main pomegranate on the left. Add the highlight ring and the stem, and then we will do a few more touch-up. With a very soft bright red pastel stick, we can now go over and brighten up the pomegranates. Once this is done, we can start the bowl by outlining all the scallops with a white pencil. And with a light blue pencil, begin filling in the areas between the scallops. Add these few leaves. Finish outlining the top of the bowl as well as the bottom edge. And now we need to add color to the bowl, minding the edges of the scallop. And once this is done, add blue very lightly in the scallop centers. Once the basic color has been added, use a white pencil to add the highlighted areas. And also notice the highlights on the edges of the scallops facing the light. Also the lighter areas in the raised up center portions. Continue shaping up the raised portions. Do this carefully so as not to become confused. To end off, we add the edge of the table with a light brown pencil and lighten up the left edge. Very lightly add the impression of the tabletop. Please like this video if you enjoyed watching it, and post a comment below. We would also love you to subscribe for more lessons like this.